please give a warm welcome for our host, Mr. Tom Katniss. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for coming. And I think we should thank the good Lord that everyone here has arrived safely. I hope to have fun with you today. We're not here to tell you what is right. We're here to show you what we do, because you obviously are doing what's right, or you wouldn't be in business. We're here to celebrate your entrepreneurial spirit. We're here to show you how we use different mediums. And you can see, as you walk around the room, there are about 60 baskets on display. You can see all the different thumbprints of how everyone designs. Now, so we're here for profit, here to make more money. We're here about change, but we're really here about trust, because everything that we do in our daily living has to do with trust. It has to do with trust with credit cards, has to do with trust with paying our bills, it has to do, and once your customer trusts you to do the right thing, and you've earned that trust, which it takes years. How many in here know that a customer can call you on the phone and say, Robin, I know your work, I need a gift for $50, here's the profile of the customer we're giving it to, I don't even have to know what you're going to do, I know it will be good. That doesn't just happen in a heartbeat. It takes years for that to happen. You're going to buy a gift for your mother, your father, your husband, a friend. You're going to go out to a gift store most often. You're not in the gift basket business. You just happen to be a consumer. Now, normally you're going to go to a store and they're going to gift wrap the gift for you, and this is what they're going to do. And then you're going to give this to the person, and they're going to say, Bunchen, is this for me? Yes, it's your birthday. Oh, thank you. Now, so the first surprise is that they receive the gift. Okay? The second surprise is when they open it. But with gift baskets, we do something different. With gift baskets, there's no surprise of the elements inside. What the customer is getting is they want to see what's inside before they purchase the gift. They don't want it to be hidden. Okay? This is really crucial, because what you're doing now is all of a sudden the customer is seeing all of the components. All right? What I'm showing from my own point of view that gives some new energy is where we're just taking cellophane. Now this is the same exact box. Okay? Look at the presentation difference. Okay? And all this is one piece of cellophane with some iridescent and a bow. And I'll take it apart and show you exactly what I did. Let me see. Charles, I'm going to give you a job to do. There's a white box over there. See if you can find me some pull bows. That's the only thing that I'm missing up here on the podium. Or else I'll have to use some of Joanne's and just make a bow. So at this point, what I have is I've just gathered the film up, and what I'm doing is I'm using Scotch tape to hold this up. And by using the Scotch tape, what this does is it adds a whole new perceived value. All right, so here we go back to this concept. So I have a box on the bottom, 3 boxes inside, which is nothing unusual, but what I've done is I've added that flare top. So I've gathered this up here, and then this is a whole different portion. Let me rip it apart. Now, if I gather all of this up, let me move this so everyone can see. If I gather this up, what happens is these all want to fall down. Yep. These all want to fall down. And they want to fall down because they don't have any strength. So I'm going to Scotch tape these up if necessary and do that. And this is going to keep everything up. And then what I'm doing is I'm coming back with a flare. And let me show you basically what I'm going to do, how I do the flare. Get my scissors here. Does anyone have a twist tie up here? Did anybody bring a twist tie? Yeah, twist tie. Give me a big one, please. Well, give me a small one. I'll deal with a small one. That is a small. I buried my twist ties in the. Yeah, I could do that. Now, I can do this in a single form, or I can do this in, for those of you who use the iridescent, you roll it up into a ball, like a snowball. Let me put this down here. And then I'll bring it out here. Pardon me? Yes. There we go, Charles. All right, put them back there. You know what long twist ties are?
Yeah.
Let's see if you can find some long twist ties. I knew I needed him up here on the stage for a reason. We've got to put this young man to work. Now, when I back this up against opposite colors, I certainly get much more of a better appearance. What's going to happen is this is going to get buried inside. But what I'm trying to do is just show you basically what we... Let me see if this... If it won't work, I'll just use Scotch tape. Now, you want to always do this also on a very slippery surface. So all I'm doing is pleating the film in my hands. Everybody can see that? I'm pleating the film in my hands. And when I'm finished, I'm going to use the Scotch tape to hold it in place. And I'll crease it. And if I don't like the edge that I have, I can just come by and give it a cut. We have the maid coming in later today, so I don't really have to be neat today. All right, now, let me see if this twist tie will work. No, it's too small. All right, I'll use the Scotch tape. Now, the reason I use twist ties is because I can position the product. Once I get it up at the top, I can change. What the hell's that? I can change the position of the head. All right, now let me bring this up to show you exactly. Now, one of the questions earlier was, how do you keep this fluff up? Let me turn this around to show you the mechanics that I have here. All right, Joseph, can you get in real tight on this? So what I have here is I've made a bag, and I made the bag large enough. Let me take the scissors. I made the bag large enough so that I've gathered this up and I've twist tied it. All right. Now, again, once I have the wire, I can position it forward, back, sideways. If I do that with string or Scotch tape, it will not stay in position. So when I shrink this, I'm shrinking all of the product around it, but I'm not shrinking this. This is like a ponytail. This is like a mast of a ship. And this is going to hold this fluff up. So as you can see, what I did was, let me pull this off altogether so I'll show you. I have two pieces of fabric, and all I did was make handkerchiefs out of them with Scotch tape, and I bonded them to this. So here I've got the snowfall. I have no backing on it, but I've got the gold netting up there. Now I have another, I have starburst on it. So what I've done is I've gathered them in my hand, I've done the twist tie, come around here, bring it back at the top, and look at the difference. Now let me see if I can't. Look at the difference. If I put the bow up here, look at the difference in the gift. I mean, it's still good looking and it's tall, but adding this will give you that extra perceived value. How many of you try and photograph a gift with the shrink film on? Isn't it a pain? Okay. Here's your answer. Let me get, where did I put it? Here it is, here. Let me put this back on. Turn it this way. See, for me to keep that up, all I need to do is take a small piece of this and secure it that way. And then I'll go through here, put the bow. About 20 years ago, I wanted to, my family's known for speaking, for talking long distance, you know. And our local library had a speech marathon, and I said, well, I just want to see how long I can talk. So you get a break every hour, you get an 8-minute break. And there was about 300 of us, and I talked for 4 days, 10 hours, 15 minutes, 13 seconds. I came in second. The woman who beat me She came up to me and she said, "Son, next year you'll do better." I said, "Mother, next year I'm going to beat you." All right, so I'm going to Scotch tape this down. And when I do, I want to keep it in such a way so that it's not covering over the front. And now I'm going to show you the trick, and it's so simple. Let me get this out of the way here. For me to expose this so I get no camera glare, all I have to do is cut the front off. And this will totally eliminate, see, you still have the wrap basket, you still have the fluff on the top, and now you totally eliminate, and if you want you can take it down by the bottom of the basket. Now I have to rewrap this, so that's the reason I'm doing it anyway. And we're going to pack it in front of you. So you can see, because it's just too difficult. There's two more things that you want to do. Actually, one more thing that you want to do. If you're shooting with an SLR camera, which is a camera that when you look through the viewfinder, what you see is what you're going to get. When you use that type of camera, you want to use either 160 tungsten, because 160 tungsten film corrects for color. If you do not use 160 tungsten and you just use regular standard film, then you have to put on a blue filter, because again, that blue filter will correct. So if you've gone out yourself and taken pictures and your baskets just look, why don't they look professional? It could be the camera, it could be the lens, it could be the film, and obviously it could be, could be this. Let me put this down here for now. So we talked about single product. Now what I'm going to do is, Charles, where are you? Come on over 1 second. We'll put this in here. Sneak around the front and give me the basket that's right there. All right? Now, this is what I call just a low flat tray. It's quick and easy to do. But notice that it has a slant to it. Now remember when I did the big basket, the big Lion King gift, how I was talking about the stepped effect? I'm doing the same thing here. I'm adding a good bit of shred in the back and building that up. And when I build that up, I get a slant. Now, every one of you is seated and you're leaning back against your chair, except that gentleman right there. If I push the button, and Rick, if I push the button and I had the ability to knock your chairs backward, everybody would fall back. So, when I make a basket, I'm making a basket one-sided, so all of the products are showing one side, because I can get 20 to 30% more elevation and make the basket taller. Remember we talked about the customer wants to see this big gift for $19.95. So you're trying to make the gift as large as possible for that price. So showing the gift one way will give you the ability to do that. So by me having that backrest or backstop, I can build the products up in that step tone, and that's exactly what I've done here with this basket I've made. Now, did you ever see a customer come in the store? What do? First, they judge you. Ooh, clean floor, nice stock, doesn't have dust on it, doesn't look like this gift's been here for 9,000 years, holy war. I mean, what happens is they come in and they case your store, and they look around, and they start to make judgments. See, you do the same thing when you go to other stores. You say, oh, 3 people in the back didn't say hello to me, didn't even greet me, Now, these people have come. When I said to this lady here, I said, bring your credit cards. These people are coming with their money. They're coming to your store. Pay attention to them. If they're walking through your door, they're going to buy something, unless you create something that's going to make them go somewhere else. You're always busy. Everybody is busy. I can tell you right now, I talk with retailers all over the country. Everyone is working half days, whichever 12 hours they choose. You see? So and I know the same thing is with you. Everyone is working very hard, but you've got to pay attention to the customer, because once you have the relationship. So let's go back to the first step. I'm looking for a gift. Oh, this is a nice gift. Oh, yeah, let's see. $35. All right, now, I picked the wrong gift. Let me get a gift with some product ID. Here, Joanne, let me use this a second. let me use this, because I'll show you the difference in the way the customer thinks. I mean, if I give you nothing today, I'm hoping that you'll go back with a different understanding. I ripped this apart. Let me put this over here. See, the customer has already preconceived what they're going to spend for the gift when they come to your store. They're positive. They know, I'm only going to spend $35 because it's just for my friend. She used to do favors for me. She used to babysit for me. And that's all I want to spend. Now, when first they pick the basket up. They go, this weighs 3.7 ounces. You know? I mean, they're all intelligent. This weighs so that's the first thing. I like the weight of this. This feels heavy. Aha! Nikki's Cookies, I know that name. And White Coffee, I know that name. And I don't know that company, but I know Willingham Manor, that's a name, and that's a beautiful box. All right. See, we're buying things based on vanity. Show of hands, who has their Victoria's Secret underwear on? You see? And nobody else knew it until I asked. See, so we're trying to please. By the way, this morning, President Clinton said that the dress was not Monica's. It was his. So the customer's trying to find a reason to buy this basket. If they can find 5 reasons why they want to pay, why they'll spend $35, they'll buy this basket. Okay, now let's switch the story. So this was an older woman, 55, 60, 65. She has her husband who's providing a good income. She's got credit cards. She's got a nice, Chanel purse. And she says, now she comes to you 2 weeks later, and she says, Maria, I was here 2 weeks ago and I bought that gift for my babysitter. I have a new granddaughter. And Maria says, ching, 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 ching. This lady is not going to buy a $35 basket. And Maria says, did you see our little rocking horse over here for $250? That's exactly what I want. You see, so the concept of that woman coming in before, she's basing her opinion and purchasing buyer on the fact that she only needs it for her babysitter. There's not a whole lot that you're going to be able to do to create her to move up in scale. But if it's a business gift and it's a gentleman, don't you see, everybody wants to do one-upmanship. Everybody wants to be a little bit better than, well, I know he got a gift from my competitor last year and I have to do. So she's come into your store and she says, my daughter would love this. Absolutely go bananas over it, because everyone wants to be the one who's talked about bringing the best gift. So again, we go back to the concept of the chair, the concept of the Lion King gift. If you have that celebrity gift on hand. Now, Ron, how many of these do you sell a year? At what price? He sells about 20 of these a year. Is that good?
We don't know, because we have such a variety as far as
Okay, all right. So what what we'd like to do is maybe give the people the source for the rocking chair, because I think that would be a good thing. So what I'm saying is, you do the same thing that your customer does when they walk into the store. They walk in and they go, yeah, I like that, I like that, I like that, sold. All right? But you have to assist them, and you've got to be telling them some of the value. It's a nice keepsake basket here. You could use this in your bathroom with towels, and this product here happens to be very good. And it's all part, obviously, of the sale. But in effect, when that customer comes in, the only reason that you're going to move them up in price is vanity. And if you can appeal to their vanity, you will appeal to the price point that you want to get to. Question?
How much is that?
Ron, how much was that?
About right.
$250. Was that a good question?
Yes.
Robin, here. Good question. $5 for a question, $5 for an answer. You're welcome. I told you we were here about profit. Didn't I tell you? And that prompts questions. Okay. All right, let me take this apart. And really, there's nothing unusual about this gift. It's just that I was more or less trying to show structure than anything else. The one thing, let me pass this gift around. I want you to feel, Charles, come on up. this is the backrest concept that I was talking about. Pass this around, starting with that young lady there. I want you to feel how much filler and shred that's in here. So people, I'm sure at one time or another, everyone has packed a basket, you shrunk it the next day, the film has loosened up. Hasn't loosened up at all. Film has stayed exactly in the same spot. The product has settled into the shred. And just like when you sit in a down sofa, when you first sit, you're really high, and then your body compresses all that shred. Now, if you have a film that has memory, you can go back and reshrink that without a problem. And again, you want to do it very gingerly because the film is at its very peak of... So just feel how much shred that I have in here, because that's the same thing. Now, the other thing is... question.
When you use the film, do you ever put anything else in it?
Yes.
Paper or
Yes, okay. I would almost say some people use newspaper, some people use a lot of shred, some people, we have a product called Gourmet Times and Christmas Times, which is food trivia and the history of Christmas with Christmas trees and that. And we use that in the bottom so that it's not a negative value. They're not getting the Philadelphia Inquirer from, 3 weeks ago, or just plain brown paper or whatever. It all depends on what you want to do. Now, hold on, I have to give her some money. Wasn't that a good question?
You know what I'm going to do with my money?
What do you-
Buy product.
Oh, good. Bless you, my child. I don't know what that was. That's some sugar. Now, you had a question, so I don't
I
have...
was just going to say, I use the styrofoam pebbles.
Okay.
They're my
Okay.
favorite, and they're free because I get them in product.
Anything that's free, obviously, is good. I mean, if you can do something... The question the answer I would give you as far as styrofoam is they shift on you. They shift.
Thank you.
Well, I just use none.
Okay, so if you use enough...
Yeah, and you have to make sure, and also, if you, like she was saying about recycling them.
Right.
That also makes you come into the community. People know that you're doing it, that brings them into the shop, they drop them off. It's great. I mean,
Okay, there's a positive way. There's a positive way. I only have one more paid question. I'll take all the... No, but she had.
I find a newsprint. You buy it in a big roll.
Yes.
And it's nice. And instead of using like someone takes paper, sometimes when customers take.
Yeah. Okay. They get their hands exactly.
Any kind of get.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's all up to individual choice what you want to put in the bottom. If you're looking to reflect a different image, obviously, then you want to do something that has a little bit more creativity than just plain old newspaper. Someone else had a question in here. You had a question.
How do you handle soft wrap products so that they don't crack?
Okay. Good. I'm glad you asked. Soft wrap products like a towel,
Like a towel.
cardboard, a heavy piece of cardboard.
Coffee packets, too.
Okay, when you have a coffee packet, what I want you to do is turn the top lip of the coffee pack all the way around to the back so that it's so tight that the air is now pushing out on it, and Scotch tape it in the back. So what happens is, see, in every potato chips, pretzels, whatever, you've got a certain amount of air chapped inside. So you can either use 1-inch or 2-inch Scotch tape bring that lip of the top of the bag back around to the back and Scotch tape it there, and when you pull on it as much as you can pull, you will create air. That air is going to act like a balloon inside that bag, and it will give you the structure you're looking for. All right? Let's talk about this real quick. Anytime you have a soft product where you need some kind of form, what you're going to do is take a piece of cardboard and wrap that cardboard around the product, either with safety pins, here I've used Scotch tape or sticker doos or whatever, and tape it in, and that's going to give you form. But remember, if it's soft, when you go to shrink it, it'll bend. So it has to be firm enough. The same thing with a magazine. Every time you want to put a magazine in and you want to put it up in the top of the basket, taking a hard piece of cardboard, all that cardboard you throw out each day, take that cardboard, slide it in, and just Scotch tape the pages closed. The other thing is, for those of you who use bases of either cardboard or whatever, you can take a razor knife to all your cardboard boxes and make your own bases and just cover them in paper, gift paper, and charge the customer $1 or $1.50 every time you use a base like that, because you've got to spend the time and put the gift paper on it. Okay, here's my twist ties. Okay, that's good. All right, let me pack this back up real quick. Yes?
We want to see how that's built up.
Okay, here, I'll slide it. So the very front is very narrow. Let me take this out of here. The very front is low and the back is pitched. And I'm going to say, I think I have, yeah, I have some Christmas times in there. All right? Now, I'm going to give you a real good example. Yeah, let me wrap this first. Then I'll give you a real good example of the so-called cellophane versus shrink film. It will, I think it'll give you a good example of what. Now, at this point, I haven't used any Scotch tape. And when you're doing a low flat basket, you really don't need any Scotch tape. And I'll bring this over here very quickly. And if I wanted to just wrap this, I'm not going to wrap it in what I call level 1, where you're using just the heat gun and Scotch tape. If I were doing that, I can bring the film out, bring the excess around to the back. I see a lot of people doing this. They do this. They have one person holding, and the other person's doing that. You don't have to do that. What you want to do is just bring the film out and around the back, and bring the back up so that all of the excess film is in the back of the basket, if you don't have a sealer. So I'm saying if you're using just the heat gun and the film, and that's all, make all of your folds in the back with Scotch tape. The Scotch tape is going to stay on the basket. The bottom of the basket is perfectly level. The film is there, and you don't have to ever Scotch tape, or you never have to pick up another basket in your life. I see 2 women doing this. One's holding and one's Scotch taping under the back. Just for speed, I'm going to put it in here and wrap it. Let me talk to you about cantilevered sealers and sealing wands. The difference between a cantilevered sealer and a sealing wand is, with the cantilevered sealer, the ones that are hinged, what happens is you always have to bring the product to the sealer. With a sealing wand, you only need to bring the wand using the fabric, and instead of me doing 1 at a time, I'm going to do 2 at a time, because I want you to imagine that I have 2 trays on the fabric. So I'd have another one over here, and then I'm going to come back over here and seal off. Joanne, you have that sealing block. Let me borrow it a second. Whenever we want to raise the surface of the film to make a seal, this happens to be running just slightly short. So I'll put the sealing block under there, and then I'm going to bring it over here, and I'll make my seal. Now, this may be a religious mortal sin to you, and normally I would use this. My 2-inch tape back here? Do you have some 2-inch? Ah, there it is. Okay. I'm winding up short. I'm just a hair short. I've got a little tiny hole over here, all right? But I've got 200 more baskets to make, and I'm just an inch or 2 short on the film. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to take and close that seam up with that tape. Now, can anyone see the tape? Okay, all right. Let me tell you about your customer. See, you want to be perfect. I applaud you for being perfect. But when you have 250 baskets to do, and there's 3 more days to Christmas, and you're laying under the table, and you can't see what the hell's going on, don't be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. All right? So what I'm going to say is come back. Let me put this over here for Joanne. I'm going to place my Lazy Susan here, bring this around, and I'm going to show you how to do a dog ear. I've got a couple dog ears here. We'll talk about that, because a lot of people, most often people want to attack the dog ears or the corners first. You want to do that last. All right? Question.
Is it possible to shrink with just the heat gun?
Yes. Yeah. Now this is what I was saying. I would normally do Scotch tape back here. I can just shrink with the gun, which is the second step. The first step is always to make a bag. We're always normally making a bag, all right? And I'll show you the next step when we go to the small sealer. So if we make a bag, we put the product in the bag. We always make the bag off of the product. We never make the bag with the basket inside. It'll take you 3 times as long. So I'm going to wrap this gift, Scotch tape the excess around the back, come back and shrink it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll come back here, and this is a dog ear, so I'll stay away from that. I'm going to shrink the bottom. And any large amount of film I'll stay away from. And the reason I want to stay away from is because I want to get it as tight on the basket as possible. And before I do that, come back and come underneath. Now, Ron, I need you to hold this for me so everyone can see, all right? Just hold it right there. There you go. All right, now, what I want to do, this is the dog ear. So I'm going to hold the dog ear out, and I'm going to shrink around it. And see, it looks like a balloon. See what happens? So what we're doing is, and let me do this one over here. Oh, let me do this one right here. Okay? So I'm going to shrink all the film around the dog ear first. Get it all done. See how it looks like a balloon? And then look, it's almost invisible. So let me finish. And this one over here. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling on it and letting it go, and it snaps in, and then I'm going to just come back and press on it. Now, when you see the film sort of where it has maybe some what I call fish eyes, or it doesn't look like it's really crystal clear, you haven't taken the film down far enough. Now, for those of you who are out in the audience who are novices, if you use a hairdryer will only shrink the film down to a certain point and it'll stop, and it won't give you all the control. So this will shrink 50% in both directions. All right, now, here's what happens when UPS gets your basket. And they say, where's this going, Chicago? Where? Oh, you want to send it through Louisville? No, I think it normally goes where it doesn't. FedEx goes through Memphis. Now let's see, do I want to send, no, I'll send this to the post office, and then the post office will get it, and they'll give it to their people. And by the time this gets to your customer, it looks like a dog's breakfast. All right? You know, and especially if you're sticking silk flowers in the back. Now, so if you're delivering your own gifts, you can use cellophane, and you can get by with your son or your daughter delivering, or a young person. But once you get into a professional delivery system, where someone is now handling your deliveries and they really don't care what's inside the box, you now have a problem. All right? So what we do is, first we give it to FedEx. See, they take it, they send it to Pittsburgh. Then from Pittsburgh, that goes to Chicago, and from Chicago, it goes on to Denver. Then they find out it's the wrong address in San Francisco, and they throw it all the way back. So that's the reason you need shrink film. You don't have to shrink every gift, but when you need the professionalism of holding the product in place, there's the difference. There are 3 gauges of shrink film available in the market. There's 75. Anything under 12 pounds, you really only need 75. 100 gauge is what is normal, and when you're getting into really heavy gifts, you're really talking about 150 gauge. Let me put this over here. Yes, here, in fact, here, let me pass it around. So, and let me just touch on one more thing about the tape. If you blow the seam out, you know, again, we go back to perfect. Oh, I've got a hole. Oh, what do I do now? Oh, you get a piece of tape, you know, you get a piece of tape. Let me show you, you know, this may be funny. Let me get my gold Mylar over here. Here, I'll take a little bit of this and my sticker doos. Let me get some sticker doos. You have to understand something about the customer. The customer does not know what you're doing. If they see it and they like it, it makes no difference if you do something unconventional. So here you are in your workroom, working very hard. Oh, I got a hole. Oh, all right, I'll make a hole over here. Okay? Now, how am I going to solve that problem? Well, let's see. I'll come back over here, take my little sticker doos. See? Peel that little sticker doo off of there. And put that near the hole. That by the hole. And normally I would use the Mylar or something a little bit heavier. These are great for Halloween, you know. You know? Now the customer comes in and says, I've never seen a basket like that. Because you're using your creativity. So I'm saying, you know, when you make a mistake, listen, honestly speaking, How many women 10 years ago would think to wear combat boots and fishnet? Do you know why these designers have reached this point? They've run out of ideas. They don't know. They're saying, what are we going to do? And they see some young 30-something unmade bed walking down the street with combat boots and stockings, and they say, that's it, let's try it, see if it works. It worked. Not for me, but it worked. Here, let's pass that around. There we go. This is the pixie dust. Since we have so many chocolate people, Charles, bring up that little basket right over there, and bring both of them. They're both candy baskets, because I want to touch on those. And Joe, if you'll get a close-up. Now, let's talk about candy chocolate that melts under heat. And when we introduce heat to the film, you're going to get a melt. If the chocolate touches the film and you heat the film in that area, you're going to get a melt. Now, let me take this one apart and then I'll wrap it for you using the small sealer. And basically, what I've done is I've created a mound in here. And you'll notice that I have almond crunch on the very top of the basket. And the reason I have the almond crunch on the top is because I want to create a tent. Think of a tent poles that's holding the tent up so that everything underneath the tent is not touched. So all I want to do with a basket like this, a gift like this, is I just want to make sure that I can keep some of the film off of the chocolate. So think of making a football effect with shredded material. I put that inside. I put some gold, shimmering gold underneath it. I'm using candy cups so I don't have contact with the chocolate from a sanitary point of view. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece over here. Let me take my scissors. And let me pass this around, because I didn't shrink this one. This is just celloed. Charles, here, pass this around. So that's just celloed. So I mean, if you want control, if you need control, and you need to shrink, I'll come back over here. Talking about one of the chapters in advertising, I was walking down, and that advertising is so crucial today. Everything that we do has to do with advertising. I was walking down the street past a Methodist church, and you know how they have these little windows, these little sign things that have a little roof on them, you know, and they have all the messages of when their services are. And the pastor had said, if you're tired of sin, come in. And in lipstick on the right-hand side, it said, if not, call Gloria at 246. Sex. Okay, now, what I've done, and I have too much film because the basket's much smaller, I've made an elongated piece of the film. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the top piece underneath, under the handle. And let me get my Scotch tape. Where did I put? Here it is. Here. I got it. Here it is. This is good. I need to lock the corners up. I need to lock the corners up. Now, what I have to do is I'll take, and this is any scrap I'm going to put into a scrap box. I'm not throwing this away, all right? What I'm going to do now is I'll take the small sealer, put this on the Lazy Susan, take the small sealer, and I'm going to use this in what we call a half trim motion. I'm going to seal with the jaw and pull with my fingers. So I'll go in, I'll give myself some clearance so I'm not real tight, because if you try and get in real tight with the sealer, then what will happen is you won't get a good kissing effect. Now the Scotch tape is going to help me, because the Scotch tape that's holding the two pieces together around the handle is going to ensure that the other side doesn't come loose. So what I've done is, see, I've sealed it here and here. We have a little tiny hole here coming around, and I'll do the same exact thing there. When I shrink this, I'm not going to shrink the top at all. I'm going to stay away from the top. Now, this gun has training wheels. It has a number 1 which will not burn a hole. It'll shrink the film, but it will not burn a hole. So I can get in fairly close. And when I start to direct the heat up here, notice I don't have the heat showing on the chocolate. I'm going to keep it away from the chocolate. Let me get some more power. Now, I've got a good bit of excess film on the top. And what I want to do is I want to take it and roll it down toward the handle and just take a little bit of Scotch tape because I don't want the candy to be rolling around or swimming in there. I want it to be nice and tight. I'll do that on both sides. And again, you cannot see the tape. And when your customer looks inside a gift, they're not looking at the packaging. They're not looking at the clear cellophane, the clear shrink film. They're looking into the gift to see what it is that they're going to be able to eat or what it is the recipient's going to be able to eat. Charles, here, take this around. So I've only heated the bottom and the sides and left the, yeah, pass it, let everybody grab a hold of it. Let me see.
That they want to ship, but a lot of the feature items that you want to show are glass.
Okay, good question. Did we have, Deb, did we have that bubble pack? What did we do with the bubble pack? No? Okay.
It looks ugly though when you wrap it around.
But ugly is control. Okay, question is, what do I do when I have a lot of jars in a gift and I have to ship it to California? And I don't want to worry about UPS, FedEx, or the post office. You're going to take any jar, mustard, sauces, whatever, and I'm going to wrap it in a piece of bubble pack. And it's not going to look good. But what you're going to do is you're going to ensure that it gets there. Imagine that if you don't do this, it's a $50 basket. I'm going to tell you how to lose money. $50 basket goes to California, they open it and they go, oh, that sauce ruined everything. Call Jo and tell her that her basket arrived broken. You've now created two problems. First problem is you're never going to get paid for the first basket. Second problem is the customer is saying to you, how could you possibly do such an unprofessional thing? You know, this basket, you know, I mean, look at all the crazy things that are going to happen to this basket. So it doesn't look good, but you need a note. And the note is going to say, to our recipient, we had to ensure that this was going to arrive in perfect condition. So to do that, we wrapped the bubble pack around the individual bottle. Now, I can tell you right now, it doesn't look nice to you. But when they open it and they find out that everything arrived in good shape, you don't have to make a second basket because they're going to want to send a second basket to replace the first basket. So now you've lost all of your profit and you've caused ill will with your customer. So follow my advice. Now some people do it, some people get away with it, you know, but I'm saying when you're dealing with glass and you're dealing with bottles, you don't know how thick that vinegar bottle is. And when it cracked, it'll make your basket smell. Yes, I'm going to come to you.
All you have to do, I do exactly what you said, but I take Mylar and I wrap it in Mylar because we have a local basket we do with all the
Okay.
glass jars.
All right.
And it just makes presentation.
They are. Or do it in bubble pack and then wrap it in a decorative paper or gift or whatever. Yes.
Couldn't you wrap the whole basket in bubble wrap?
You can. You don't have to because it's the individual. See, the boxes, remember I said to you, a customer will forgive the first sin. Bang! The box is bent. But the product inside is still good. See, so they'll forgive because they say, oh, this came from FedEx. It had to be shipped all the way across the country. It obviously got a little jostled around. They'll forgive that, but you won't forgive a broken product. So, as this young lady is saying, besides wrapping it in the bubble pack, wrap it in a decorative material so that you can, you know. Let me pull this out. Yes, question?
When you ship your basket, what do you ship them in? How are they packaged in the box?
Okay, I'm going to guess that a lot of people will use peanuts, bubble pack, heavy corrugated paper, newspaper. What do you normally do?
Well, we use a variety of things. We've been in business 14 years, so we kind of go through different things.
Okay.
Right now we usually, you have to be careful with the styrofoam because when you put them in there, you have to have something around it.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
because they become magnetic to the gift. They
Yeah.
fly around, and pretty soon the customer has all the stuff on their hand, and
We
you know.
use colored tissue around it.
Okay.
Floral
All
colored
right.
tissue, and then put the styrofoam peanuts in. I'm still looking to do another thing because we just do so many baskets.
All right. What you need to do is to put some cushioning in the gift first, okay? And then once you put your cushioning in, then put your basket in. then come back in with heavy brown paper or heavy paper at the corners, okay? As long as your corners are secure, all right? Now, when you get to the top, you need to either have some pieces of cardboard coming across that are going to keep the shoulders in place. If you can do that with 2-inch tape, you know, or just packing it with just paper. But when you get to the top, you don't have to push this guy down. Make sure that you have a basket, you know, a box that's big enough that's going to give him his head up here, and just pack everything around here. What you can do with a bow, to keep a bow from collapsing, just take some tissue and put some of the tissue inside, or take some kind of a collar and do a protective collar with it, you know. Here's something that I like to do on the outside of a basket. These are loose candies. I'll take maybe a 4 or 5 inch piece of Scotch tape, and I'll put one piece of candy on it, then another, then another. I'm making a candy cluster. And what I'll do is I'll put this on the outside of the gift with some cosmic stardust, and it gives a nice effect. Let me put this up here. Take this off. Let me go back to my program here. So we're talking about the simple basket. We did that. The easy, the gift. This is a little bit more difficult. And here we have, again, I have that backrest concept. The backrest concept. And you can use just cardboard. Now, Charles, let me just have that. This doesn't have to be a box in here. This could be a piece of cardboard wrapped in gift paper if you want. And today, some people won't even need to wrap it. They'll just use plain old cardboard, as long as it doesn't have marks on it, as long as it doesn't have, you know, disfigurement. Yes, question in the back?
I was going to say one of the greatest things that I invested in was a shredder, and use all your magazines and things that
There you go.
come down.
Was it like an office shredder or a bigger, a little bit more expensive shredder?
It was no, it's your basic office shredder, but to stuff packages, it works great.
Right. Okay. I know of a company who does a lot of baskets, and that's exactly what they have. They have a professional shredder, and that shredder will just cut up the paper for them, and they use that as their beginning filler, and then they'll come back over and dress up the top. Charles, I'll give that to you. You can put that over there. Let me take this apart. Put that over there. What I did was I took some, you know, little reindeer bells and wired them together and put those around the neck of this little fellow. And almost everything that I have in here is it's just either forced in one way or another, or just sort of sitting in there. It's not necessarily, all right. Now, here's my backrest. These are all either Scotch taped together or they are sticker-dewed together. So, talking about that side view, all right, and here's where I'm going to lay everything back against this gift. And I could make this gift even higher. Look, I've got a shelf here that I can use, and I've got another shelf here that I could add another 2 or 3 boxes going up using the Scotch tape. So let me turn this around this way to the camera. All right, so these are fairly loose in here. So if I want to secure them, obviously all I need to do is to get some Scotch tape. A lot of times people will say, oh, I don't use Scotch tape. I would never use Scotch tape. You know, if you put a small note in the basket that says, to eliminate damage to the basket products, just simply cut in between the tape and you take the products apart. Have you ever seen a consumer devour a basket? They don't care about the Scotch tape. They're not saving this for, you know, this is not a collector's item, you know? Once they get into it and eat it, it's going in the trash. So a little tiny rip. Now, if you're concerned about a really good product, you know what I'm saying, that some expensive packaging, then hey, if you want to, you know, fix it in such a way that you're not going to, you know, damage it. So I'll use both Scotch tape and sticker deuce, and I'll interface these together. And each time I do this, now, so my first pressure point here is back here. This box is my first background box. And I've Scotch taped it to the handle. Anytime you have a handle basket, you can build on that basket. It'll make things. Then I've come back in with some Jelly Bellies, and then some over here, some golden walnut, and some Sherwood's products over here. So there's my backrest, all right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in here, put that in there. Now look what happens when I press down on that. See how how it doesn't spring back too much. So when you go home, press down on your baskets. If they sink down without responding and coming back like a rubber band, you don't have enough filler in there. You need more. I'm going to say that most people need at least another 40 to 50% on filler, just on the top now. I mean, you're going to fill the bottom with some kind of a inexpensive filler, but your shredded material as far as that goes. We'll put this in here like that, and again, I can either use a sticker-do or just a little piece of Scotch tape. All I want to do is just get it in there until I can get that there, like that. Get that in there like that. So go over here. So, you know, a lot of people say, well, gee, you use so much Scotch tape. I do when I'm building something as large as that, I'll need some Scotch tape. But if I tilt that basket back, sometimes I really don't need to. Let me put this, I can put this in the middle. Whenever I have a hole somewhere and I need to fill in, that's what I'm going to use that for. Come back up, put this in right like this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bag for this. I'll go over here. Let me take and put this down. Charles, take this away for me. Come back over here. You can put it over on that table. Now, let's assume that I don't have this material in front of me and I don't have the dispenser, and all I have is basically the small sealer and the film, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the small sealer and I'm going to go along the edge of the film, and all I'm going to do is sort of staple it. This is called a simple seal. And when we do a simple seal, we wind up with sort of a ragtag curtain type edge because the film is heat sensitive, and that's what we're going to get. But that'll shrink down nicely. If I want to do more of a professional seal, what I'll do is I will go in and use the table as a guide, hold the film in place, and then rip the film away. And every time I rip it away, I have to overlap my seal. And then if I want to eliminate a dog ear, all I have to do is just turn the corner. So now, on this side I've got a corner, which I could have taken off, and this side I have a rounded ear, so I've eliminated the dog ear, so I don't have to be shrinking that. So now I'm going to come back over, and you know what I'm going to need? Just a piece of string. If you would give me just some curling, a length of curling string, Diane. Now I'm going to bring this over. Put it in. Now I didn't do a flare tackle on this one because I had this little reindeer fella. And I'm going to roll the bag forward. That means the bottom or the center fold of the film, instead of being in the exact center of the basket, is going to be toward the front of the basket. And the reason for that is, look at where the bag is going to end up. All right, look at the, I want to show, here's where it would normally end up, but I want it back here. And the reason I want it back here is I don't want it to take away from the product in the front. So now I'm going to come back in, and what I can do is take a sticker-do. Here, let me take this chair away. I'll put that there. Take a sticker-do. And again, anytime I want to bond something that has a little bit more weight to it, I'll use a sticker-do and stick that there. And this way I can get this fellow's rear end seated correctly. So I have to tell you the story about, during the Gulf War, there were 3 American businessmen who were walking along the Red Sea. And as they walked along the Red Sea, they were in their stocking feet, you know, sometimes they were walking in the water, sometimes they weren't. One of them finds he's come across something in the sand. He doesn't know what it is, and he looks at it, and he grabs a hold of it, pulls it out of the sand, and as he's wiping the sand off, it turns out to be a genie's lamp. As he's wiping the sand off, a 100-foot genie comes out of the bottle and looks down on these 3 billionaires and said to them, "You're very lucky today because I'm going to grant you one wish, but I want you to be very careful as to what you wish for, because when you're finished, I have to give you what you wished for." So, the first man says, "Well, I have everything I want. There's really not, I want wisdom. I want understanding. I want enlightenment. I want to be able to make good decisions for my company and my employees. So, waves his hand, and immediately you can see this new enlightenment coming out of his eyes, and he's really enlightened. So he goes to the next man and he says, what would you like? And the next man says, yes. He said, but I want to be 25 times smarter than that guy. Genie waves his hand again, and immediately you see a new aura about the man. So now he comes to the last man, and the last man's very greedy. Last man says, yes. He says, I know exactly what I want. The genie says, what would you like? He says, I want to be 100 times smarter than both of those. And the genie said, are you sure? He said, yes. Genie said, I now pronounce you a woman. That was good, wasn't it? So I'm going to start to shrink this down. I have a really big dog ear over there. And again, I'll start my shrinking in the back. When you're dealing with plush animals, you've got to really be careful, because what happens with plush animals is their fur is synthetic. So if you go in and try and shrink very close to their fur, you've got to create, either use a piece of cardboard, or you've got to do something to keep the film from heating the fur. And this way, what will happen is you'll keep from shrinking the fur. Now you can see we pretty well got that more down. Now I'm going to go under the basket, shrink the rest of it underneath. Okay. So at this point, let me come over here, put the bow on, and since I've got the other candy on the inside, I'll put these on the outside. Okay. And bring this around here. Put this guy right like that. All right, Charles, do the same thing with this guy. All right. Now, you can see that this is the crudeness. Remember, I didn't seal off the edge. I sort of was just doing a clamping concept. That's what you're seeing here with that crudeness. All right. Put that over there. All right, let me do now. Any questions? Some more questions? Question, yes?
Where'd you get the Humpty Dumpty?
I honestly will say that I got it at probably one of the stores as I travel around. I think if you look through, some of Applause or Grunt or some of those different companies, you'll find that product there. All right, now let me take this guy apart so that another question.
Would you use that, what do you call that shred?
This or
The shred mylar.
the shredded? Okay.
All year long or only at Christmas?
No, think of dressing yourself. We're in the food fashion business. You're in food fashion. It makes no difference, depending on the theme. The theme is really going to dictate what you're going to use. If you're going to use a gold and a black concept where you're using maybe I think I had, let me see if I have that around here. I had a little gold box. What I'll try and do, when I want to pick up a theme sometimes, did you see Diane? Was it Diane? No, it was We're All Nuts. The girls did the Phillies gift, okay? They did a really nice Phillies gift, and what they did was they took some of the pages from the program and they wrapped, using just like gift paper, and they wrapped the pages. So here's a Sports Illustrated gift. So if you wanted to make a macho sports gift using Michael Jordan or someone local, all you need to do is to get that program, cover the product over, and then start to use some of the different knickknacks and some of the souvenirs that the team sells through licensed products, and you can make a gift similar to that. So basically I'll do the same thing. Anytime I want to theme a gift, That little tiny basket, what did I do with that little tiny basket that I had all the, is it up front? No, I guess okay, he may have taken it over there. If I'm doing something for a baby boy or a baby girl and I need to see pink and blue or white, newborn colors, and all the products that I'm using are not, then I'm going to wrap those individual products. All right, now, sometimes people will say, well, what's inside? What you can do is just wrap the front of the product. Leave the back of the product showing what's in the box, and at least the products in the back will show you exactly what is inside. Another thing that you want to do, and this is important, worth writing down, dating your basket. And you want to put the date of the basket in reverse on the price sticker. So today is 8/9/2190. Means nothing to the customer, but you're doing this in reverse. But when you look at it, you know that this basket was made September 12th. So on December 29th, you know this is getting questionable, that you don't really want to sell this basket. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. Another thing that you can do, let's say for a gentleman, who happens to be a banker or in the market, using the Wall Street Journal, which is going to cost you $50, $75, or $1, using that to wrap your boxes. And using, Harry London has $100 bills, some of the different companies have gold bullion, the gold coins. That's always good for a business gift, from that point of view. Let me start to take this apart. Pull this off, put that down there. Any more questions? Give me some more questions. Let's see.
When you have someone come into your store, and you want a custom gift card,
Okay.
you put it all together,
Good.
how do you jump in with profit?
Aha. Good question. I was going to cover that, but I'm glad you asked. Okay. All right. Let's assume it's December. All right, question, I'm sorry. She's talking about custom baskets. She said, how do you control your profit when you're making a custom basket? See, the customer's now looking into your business, and they're going to see how you mark up your product. And this is your store. I play by my rules. Here are my rules. I have them up there. We stop making custom baskets on December 15th. After that, we just don't do it. Unless it's a customer that gives you a lot of business. And if you want to lay on your knees on the 22nd of December and still do baskets, you take that order for 50 custom baskets. Because every time you do a custom basket, you must figure out your markup, what's going to go into it. You have to pull the product off the shelf, take the stickers all off. So you're adding 20 to 30 new functions to that individual custom basket. So here are the rules. We love to do custom baskets. If you only knew how excited we get when you come in, but here are the rules. We add 30% to whatever you select. See, they think Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, and Tinkerbell are all working in the back room for you for peanuts. And you're paying insurance, medical benefits, you're doing all this extra. The lights, no one puts the lights on until you pay the bill. So the customer has to understand, here are the rules. And the rules are, in my store, we'll do a custom basket for you, but you bring me the basket, the products that are going to go inside. Because see, when they pick products out, they're not picking them out with you figuring that this is all going to work. They're bringing you such a conglomeration of sizes and thicknesses and widths that you're going to spend a few minutes saying, how's this puzzle going to go together? See, so having, and one of the ways that you can eliminate custom baskets is to have 15 baskets on display at all time, looking good. See, women, you're going shopping for a dress, and you go into the store, you get into the store, and you see your size in front of you, and there's a whole rack of clothes. And you are size 8, and you go to the rack, and there's 3 dresses in your size. You go like this, you go, I don't like that, I don't like that, and I'm out of here. See, so the customer walks into your store, you're doing baskets, and you don't have a good supply on display. They're going to say, is this company really a basket company, or are they just selling a few baskets with other products, okay? So the more baskets you have on display, the more choices you give the customer, the less they have to deal with asking for a custom basket. Yes?
Does that 30% apply even when they come in with an armload of stuff that they bought?
No. Well, if it's product that you are not selling, that's acceptable. They cannot bring you product that you're selling.
They'll come in your store with.
No, no, that's, you're not playing, the rules, yeah, no, the rules of the game go like this. Then, okay, let's assume I come in with $75 worth of product and the basket, and I say, is it Aurora? Aurora, would you be an angel and pack this? And you say, well, let me just see now, hold on. You've got 15 boxes. You know, the basket isn't really that big. It's not going to hold all this product. And it's going to probably take me about 35 to 40 minutes to do it. I'll charge you $35. Now, there's an up and a downside. You say, I'll charge you $5. The woman's absolutely elated. You're losing money. She's elated because you're doing it for $5. You're charging her $35, and now she says, oh, that's more than I really wanted to spend. You said, well, ma'am, I charge $15 an hour for my time. So I have to, and that's making my own basket. You're asking me to do labor for you where I'm not making a profit. So I'm going to charge you $35. You don't even have to tell her how much you're making. You're saying, I have to pay for the lights. And I'm just standing here waiting for you to come by with all these products that you bought at a supermarket. You see what I'm saying? So you have to say to the customer, hey, I'm in business to make a profit just like you are, and please don't take me for granted. So the answer to the question is, one sign that says we don't take baskets after December 15th. Because what happens is you open the door to too many pickers coming in and saying, I want this and I want that. Then, and I'm going to talk about markup because we haven't gotten to markup. You're closing the door and saying, if you want it, order it on November 30th, December 1st, if December 5th. Don't come in here with 15 or 20 custom orders on December 15th and expect me, because I already got orders in-house, all right? The other thing is, when you have that sign, you've got to make sure that you're going to charge that extra 30%. Then you're not too bad. All right, you can put that on that table over there. All right, now, let me show you. There's not too much Scotch tape used in this basket except around the back. Let me take this out, because what I did was, just to save time, I already made the bag for this. No, I didn't make the bag. All right. What I'm doing here, let me take the front apart. Take this apart. Put this down there. And again, I'm just packing and stacking. Shred. I think I have a little piece of Scotch tape here to hold this little guy in here. See, so look at what I'm packing on top of. I'm packing solid things on top of solid things, and as I go up, I'm getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And look at this handle right here. Here's really what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you the handle that's supporting this box right here. When I bring this around the back, all right, look at all of the product that I have back here. Here's my foundation box. Without that box going all the way down to the bottom of the basket and me putting excess shred in there and locking it in so hard that if I turn that basket upside down, nothing is going to move. If that moves, I haven't put enough filler in the bottom. That box has to be secure because it's going to travel a great distance. So my next box is, I put Monica's products here, and then a smaller box of Asher's, and we've got the Jelly Bellies over here, some Venus. So I'm just filling in. And it doesn't have to be any which way. But one of the things that you're going to see from We're All Nuts, what she does is she'll use a cardboard platform, and she'll just use boxes and tape them one way or another to get the gifts together, and then she'll either wrap them in cellophane or shrink film, depending on how she wants to put them together. So if you can see, here's my backrest that I'm looking at, right like that. And you can see how it's being supportive. And I could have put another box if I wanted. I could have put another box back here going up and another box up here to really make a giant billboard. And again, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make this big gift that's going to work for the customer. Put that in there like that. So it doesn't have to be a Scotch tape basket is what I'm trying to say to you. Just little pieces. Sometimes, I see people using a ton of Scotch tape. Much more than they normally would, and these are very strong. The sticker-doos are extremely strong. When you want to bond something, you can cut them in quarters if you want, or just cut them in half. But when you get to the top where you need a little bit more security, someone had asked, let me see, we had some questions from the audience, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, I know. The one question was using a plant inside a basket. Where did the little candy basket get to? Right there. The little tiny candy basket, the handle basket. The other one. Is it over there? All right, just give it to me a second, and I'll show you in scale. What we're going to do is we're going to take an empty pot. We'll take an empty pot, and I'm going to put the pot in the center of the basket, and I'm going to build all my product around the pot. And then I'll build the product up to the pot. Now I have an empty pot there. Then I'm going to come back and wrap it, shrink it, cellophane it, or whatever. And if I shrink film it, then after I shrink it, I'm going to be able to come back with a scissors and cut into it almost like I'm making a pie shape out of the film. So that the film, the cutting edge is going to go right to the edge of that container. Now I take a full pot with plant, flower, green, or whatever, and I put it in there. And add the bow and add some more decorators. So that's the way I can do it with either a tray or a handle basket. Or let's say if I wanted to do it here, I would have not put this box in here, and I would have put a square container in here. And then put the empty product in, and then shrink wrap the whole thing, come back and cut it open. Now, once you shrink the film, if you want to cut it and rupture it, for you to keep it from going any further, you only have to take a piece of Scotch tape and put it where it's been cut, to keep the run from going any further. And that'll stop the film from running. With cellophane, you can do that with cellophane too, it'll hold. But shrink film is going to hold considerably better. So now, let me come back here, and I better put a piece here, and let's put that there. And this guy we're going to put up here. And let me put some, I don't want to put too much tension on that red box because it has, it doesn't have a good bit of stability. So I'll take these two pieces, two sticker-doos, and just put it on there just enough to keep it from moving, all right? And look, this one's loose in the back, so I'm going to come back here, do a little tape there, and if I want, I can sticker-do this right here. Put that up there like that, okay? So then I'll come back with my filler. And let's talk about silk flowers inside the basket. Whenever you're putting any kind of a silk flower, you want to find an alcove. You want to find something where you can get the flower in so that it's not going to be pressed down by the film. And if you can hide it in there, not necessarily hide it, but I'm saying put it in, when you get the film on it, as long as it's pressing flat as opposed to bending it, you know, you're all right. Okay, I've got my bag. Where'd I put it? Over here. Any more questions? Yes?
So in order to stack baskets like you're doing, you don't use very soft
I would use them on the top. If I had a soft product, I'm always going to use them on the top because I just don't want to. You can't build, it's like building on a pillow. And you can do it, but you're not building with any stability. So if I were, I mean, this is a soft, here's a soft product. This is, you know, there's not a lot of holes, you know. Let me have, all right. So remember what I was talking about? Look at, here's the air. So I'll bend this over. What I want to do is crease it.
Do it from the bottom.
Or do it from the bottom. You can do it from the bottom or the top. But what I want to do is I want to make it in such a way that I'm tightening up the air so that the air is going to press out against it. Normally I wouldn't do it with this product because it's just too small. There's not a need. But see, now I've got, here I'm going to throw it to you if you don't mind. All right. You have more stability there than you have, I'm sorry. Large fruit basket? Okay. The concepts of what I'm doing are basically the same for fruit baskets. The only difference is I would probably be running tape around the entire ring of fruit to hold it in place. Now, the lower, obviously, and you've been doing it for a while, I'm sure, the lower the radius of the tray, you only need 2 stacks maybe to finish your basket. If you want to go higher than that, if I was building a basket with fruit in it, and I was using fruit on the bottom rows, with the Lazy Susan, I would go around, starting with my Scotch tape on the handle, and I would go around totally around to the back, and I would link up that Scotch tape to to the first because I need a belt. I need a belt. But I'm talking about a tall gift now. I'm not talking about a pyramid. Pyramid, you don't need any Scotch tape. When you're dealing with something this tall and you're balancing 3 or 4 pieces of fruit that are different sizes, all of a sudden you get into an unlevel situation. Now, you're doing fruit. Okay. So, and everybody has their own way of doing it, you know? Everyone has their own way of, let me get this over here. So, another thing that you can do if you use styrofoam in some of your baskets, where today, if you're using a basket, sometimes the customer's getting so much fruit that they might not eat it for 3 weeks. So by adding specialty foods to the basket and fruit, you can give them a minimum amount of fruit. If you have some styrofoam in the center of the basket, you can take a floral pick, take a sheet of styrofoam, wrap it like a popsicle or like a lollipop, twist your floral pick onto the end with Scotch tape, and then shrink it, and then stick that pick into the styrofoam, and you can position that piece of fruit anywhere you want. So, and the film will allow the gas, the ethylene gas, to sneak out, so it won't ripen prematurely. Now, what I'm doing is, I'm going to take this flare top piece and turn it into my mast. All right? I'm going to come back and put this up. Well, let me shrink this first. Let me shrink it. And then we're going to do the chair. We'll wrap the chair. I'll show you the concept of wrapping the chair. For those of you who know how to sew, once you have the film, which is the fabric, and once you have the sealer, you can make a bag as large as you want. I could make a bag to wrap this entire table. The concept is, how do we get the table in the bag? Well, we really don't. What we're going to do is we're going to drop the bag open end on the chair, and we've got a piece underneath. Now, see what I've got? I've got some puffing in here, all right? I'm going to leave that puffing go until the very last moment, because sometimes the film, when it grabs onto bottles and jars, it wrinkles and it doesn't. So by you keeping that air inside until the very last moment, then I'll come around the back, and especially if I'm doing fruit, I'll come around and burn a hole, an intentional hole in the back and the bottom. I'll re-shrink the back. Now I can get the film all the way down on the product, and an intentional hole right there. What I've done now is to create an air-conditioned basket. What's happening is now, when I put this in a walk-in, the hole in the bottom will create air ventilation for cold air rising in the basket. The problem with fruit in a refrigerated unit is the ethylene gas that's trapped inside the bag. The ethylene gas has to get out of the bag, otherwise it will ripen 10 times faster than normal. When you take a pear or a tomato and you put it in a brown bag and you close it up. Well, the ethylene gas, which is invisible, Mother Nature's own ripening process, if that ethylene gas does not get out, it will ripen the fruit much, much faster. So, having a hole here and a hole here, what happens is you will air condition the basket. It'll give more breathing room to the ethylene gas, because the ethylene gas will wind up coming out of the top. And if you have it in a walk-in, all of your moist air, warm air underneath, will come up out of the top. In 15 to 20 minutes, you'll have a refrigerated basket at 35 or 40 degrees. Now, let me put this up here, like this. Let me get back to we talked about kindergarten. Put this over here. This over here. Bring my bow. Let's see what we got. This basket would retail for about $125. Yeah. The manufacturers, when they sent us the product, did not send us price lists. So it made it difficult and flare top does take a little longer to do. I mean, it really does you know, you're doing a little bit more for the customer than, but again, your customer is going to be the one to decide the price. If it's a businessman, he's looking to make an impression on, the person he's sending it to. So that's the reason you need shrink. Now, let's talk about corners, especially sharp corners with shrink film and cellophane. One of the trade secrets that you can do is take a piece of Scotch tape after you've heated and shrunk it and go over that corner. And that'll keep that corner from poking through, all right? And it'll take a whole lot of stress. The other thing is after you shrink the basket, remember I had said to you, go back and push. Now, I threw it up in the air, so it's loosened up a little bit. But when you go push it in, it should spring back. If it goes in and stays in, again, you need more shredded material in there, okay? My mother had a 80th birthday. What does a guy who designs gifts give to his mother? Really? I mean, what does he give? This is a piece of styrofoam. Now, earlier we talked about the vase, you know, the container, the pot. What I have here, turn this sideways, there's the vase. So I built the vase into the gift. So I could either put fresh flowers in here, a rose arrangement, silk flowers, or whatever. So what I did was I took laurel branches, stripped off all their foliage, sprayed them gold, all right? Then I took pictures of my children and my family and my parents and her party the year, 2 or 3 years before I put the money on for my brothers and sisters. And this is what I gave to my mother for an anniversary, for her birthday, her 80th birthday. So, see, and it takes time to do these. And what I did, so I wouldn't ruin the pictures, I took all the pictures to Kinko's, had them color copied, and then cut them out, and then just sticker-dewed them all on. So you could turn this into a holiday Christmas gift. Imagine a grandmother whose children are very, very successful, and they really want to give her something that's very meaningful to her, that would touch her. This takes time to do. This is about a 4 or 5 hour gift. So you're looking at maybe $350, $400 because there's time and energy built into it. But this is the sort of thing that if you can personalize it and make it up and show customers, you call it, this is my family tree gift. And all your children get together and they all chip in $25 or $50 and they bring it in and you put the money on it and you do the whole thing. So, Charles, here, I'm going to let you take and carry this around so everybody can see it. All right? Here, carry it around just like that. There we go. You know, this is not as big as I would want it to be for Mr. Trump if he was sending it to maybe his third wife. But what I did in here was I put a little musical...
You got that at Radio Shack?
No, the tape recorder I got at Radio Shack. This I got at the gift show in New York. I can't remember where I got it, but... And then we've got this little soft guy over here, and I did flare top with the nursery rhymes, and I ribboned the bow. This is a handmade bow with lots of loops that I come back and cut back and then use the sticker doos to sort of emboss. And then the other thing that I put in it, and I was coordinating, if I were doing this, I was coordinating this with the delivery man, that when the delivery man delivered this to my spouse at the hospital, I'd have him call me on my cell phone, and then I would talk. I mean, this is when you have an unlimited budget. But the unlimited budgets come when you put these big gifts together and then get those excited. You know the 20% of the people in your community who happen to play golf are lawyers, are doctors, are the people who travel around the world. See, they're coming to your store and they're saying, show me something that's worth $250 and I'll buy it. But if your imagination isn't there, I'm going to go buy a piece of jewelry, or I'm going to go buy something else. So let me put this over here. Let's see. I guess I think that's basically it. We can't really move the chair. Let me talk about markup very quickly. In your book, there is a markup page. "65% of the product that you're packing into the gift, 65% should represent gourmet foods, candies, cookies, snack." Now, If you're purchasing a product for $1, Mary, what would you sell that for in a gift basket?
Well, I do 2.5.
Okay.
And then I would also add my shipping on top of that.
Exactly. Okay. So let's assume you're making a $100 basket. $100 basket. What she's saying is, I'm buying a product for $1. I'm going to mark it $2.50. Then I'm going to put that product in the basket. All right? And then now, besides that now we're up to $65 at retail. Do everything at retail. All right? Now we're up to $65 at retail. Now, she's not doing it. She has an employee. The employee has to be paid. So we're going to charge $10 for the employee's time to make that $100 basket. So 10% of the value of the gift. Now, a lot of people will put it, we charge $5 for up to this, and we charge $10 for up to that. If you do it in a percentage way, you're never losing anything because it's always standard. $20 or 20% should represent the container. You don't have to charge for a container if you're doing a piece of cardboard. You're going to charge $1.50 or $2. So you can move that price any which way you want, all right? And then 5% for packaging, shredded, peanuts, film, cello, ribbon, accessories, shred, all of those other extra things. Now, for you to do anything different from that, you only need to rob from 1%. So if you want to do more packaging, you might take another 5% from the food items and only do $60 in food items and do $10 in packaging. So I'm saying these numbers are not in cement. You need to move these numbers however way, whatever way you want to move them. But remember, you have overhead to pay. You have other expenses. You've got gas in the truck. Obviously, I'm going to say that everybody here should be charging for delivery if you're not already charging. Or if the order is over $250, free delivery. Or if the customer is giving you the order on November 10th, you'll give them a 10% discount if they order 10 baskets or more. Or I'll give you 1 basket free if you order 10 baskets. I mean, you see, there are all different ways to more or less go after the customer. What happens is you wind up in a situation, you can put it back over there, please. You wind up in a situation, as I said earlier, we are all dealing at the speed of sound. Everyone is busy. All right? And you're trying to get the attention of that manufacturer. Don't go to any manufacturer who's selling more than $5-6 million a year, because when you do that, you get involved with too many levels of decision makers. You need to make the decision maker needs to be the secretary of the president or the wife of the president. Otherwise, you're going to find that you could camp there for a year and a half, and you'll still not make any headway with that company. All right? Something that I call bloody nose. But a woman will get very excited. I'm going to make my baskets. I'm going out to the industrial park, and I'm going to sell like hell. And she gets to the 10th company, and the 10th company says, "Lady, are you living in the real world? We can't talk to you now. We're too busy." How many times you've gone to visit a friend, and they say, "Oh, Mary, just drop by anytime," and you drop by. And they say, "Mary, what the hell are you doing here?" Well, you said, "You told me to drop by anytime." Well, I'm here. Well, we all know you have to get an appointment. So do a professional letter. Call the company on the phone and say, "Do you have a Sunshine Club? Who is the person responsible for purchasing?" You see, this is very non-intrusive. You're getting the information first. Then send out a letter to that individual with maybe a color copy of one of your baskets, all right? And this way, now the person has a better idea of what they're judging and what they're looking at, and say, "I'd like to make an appointment. I will only take 10 minutes of your time." When you have the appointment, now they're ready for you. Now they expect you. They'll provide that 10 minutes for you. You walk in with 3 baskets under your arm, 3 really good-looking baskets at 3 different price points, all right? So this will prevent bloody nose. I mean, if you want to really get down on yourself, going to that 10th company and someone saying, "No, no, no, we don't want to see you now. We don't want to see you now. Go, lady, go home. Go back to where you came from. We don't have time for you." Get the appointment. And in the very beginning, it's not going to be easy until you can establish yourself, okay? So having that charity, working with those charity people and making a name in your community by helping people. I mean, you can donate a lot of product if you want. That's up to you. But I'm saying that there are other resources that you can call on, members in the organization, other businesses that you can give credit to, that sort of thing. Remember, you've got to cover your inventory, you've got to cover your accounts receivable, you've got to cover your delivery. For those of you who make a lot of deliveries, especially at holiday time, make sure that your driver has a flashlight, a profile of what you want to happen. If he gets to an order and he can't find the address, is he going to search for an hour and a half trying to, or is he going to bring it back in 10 minutes if he can't find it? Give him all of this information beforehand. Make sure that he understands. Give him your telephone number if he has to call you. Make sure that when he pulls up to an address, he blows the horn. By the time he gets from the door of the delivery truck to the door of the person who's living there, she's there waiting for him because she wants to know who's blowing her horn in the driveway. If she's not home, a next door neighbor will take it a little bit more willing because she's looking out the door to see who's blowing their horn. Question?
Yes, historically, will gift shops do better in malls or freestanding buildings or what locations?
I'm going to say a gift shop will do better in a freestanding building. Now, we have a Hallmark store here. Maybe she didn't come. Ann, did Ann make it? Ann didn't make it. Okay. There's a woman who was coming who has a Hallmark store in a mall. One of the problems with the malls are they grab you here and then by your ankle, and you get the volume, but you have to work for it like everything else. But you're also working so much for them because of all of the fees that you're paying them. When you have a freestanding store or even a private home that you turn into, you have less payout. Yeah, you can do just as much business. So that's another reason to get that 2.5%. If you don't get that 2.5%, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to wind up using your profit to make your business success. And don't be shy about doing 3-to-1, especially if it's a perishable product. The more perishable the product, the more markup you're going to take. Question?
Now, you also add your shipping in?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, delivery. I'm saying delivery is extra. Delivery hasn't even been...
When you get your product in and you pay so much.
Yeah, and you've got, I'm saying, so there's another reason for the 2.5. You can figure that 5 to 8% of your product coming in from your suppliers is going to cost you, on top of what you're paying, 5 to 8% for freight. So you've got to mark that into that 2.5. That's why I'm saying 2.5, 2.75, or 3 is going to make you,
Sometimes your market can bear 3.0.
Yeah, it really can, And again, if you build it up and make it higher and make it broader and make it, yes.
If you buy in big volume, would you price it off of distributor pricing or like a wholesale price?
I'm going to price it off of what I paid for it. And within the industry where people are really buying in big volume, there's what is known as making a profit on the front end. And the profit on the front end is that someone is selling a product for $1 if you buy 5 cases, but if you buy 150 cases, you can get it for 60 cents. So now they're making 40 cents more on the product, and they're not giving that on to the customer. They're not passing it on. They're now taking the 2.5 or 3 on that dollar. See, so if you're buying it right, you're also able to make a profit on that. Yes, Marie?
I have found that with shipping, if you add that into the cost of the basket, if the customer says, I'd like a $75 basket, and you don't say shipping is separate or delivery.
Right.
I never charge delivery. I build that in.
Okay, and that's fine. And everybody has to do, the question was, Marie bills her delivery, local delivery, into the price that she's charging. All right? This causes no surprise for the customer. Customer says, well, how much is it to be delivered? There's no delivery charge. That's a plus to shop at her store. Now, if you're talking about shipping around the country, what you can simply do is use UPS standard rates. You say to the customer, here, I'm going to show you what the UPS rate is for shipping 20 pounds to California. It is $9.27. And we want to insure it to make sure that if anything goes wrong, so you're giving them you're not just saying, here's what the charge is. You're showing them, I make no profit on delivery. This is what the charge is, going to be here. One of the things that I have in here has to do with markup and profit. And if you use those, you'll find all of a sudden it'll give you a good understanding of what you're charging and how much money you're making. We talked about cellophane versus. Let me wrap this chair real quick. Let me move this back. Anytime you have a gift that's very, very large, what we have to do is we have to make a bag. Before I I mean, I went to all the trouble of making this. I may as well wear it. Do you feel like this sometimes? You know, chief cook, bottle washer, you know what I mean? I mean, we've all, you know, as a retailer, I remember making a delivery to a woman, and it was a COD. And I didn't have change. And she said, there's a corner store, would you mind running down? I said, that's fine. Halfway down the block, she says, can you get me 3 cans of Campbell's soup? You know, so we do all of these different jobs. We do all of these different things. Let me put that back there. Let me come back to the chair. All right, I could do the job that I'm going to do with this little sealer, because this is a sewing machine also. It's a sewing machine and a trimming machine, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a giant bag with the wand, and this is something that you can't do with the cantilevered sealer. Now, the film is 22-inch centerfold, so this is exactly how I wrapped that chair that I have over there. Show you exactly how I did it. I'm opening the film up and folding it back. Now I have a 44-inch centerfold. And I'm going to match the film, and I'll put it down on the table. And I'm going to sew it together. I was pulling up, checking into the hotel here on Friday morning, and as I was going into the lobby, a car came around off of Gulf Road at very high speed. I mean, this woman was driving, you know, you could hear the wheels squealing. She comes into the main driveway, comes down into the lobby area, jumps out of the car. The car barely stops before she jumps out of it. The door is left open, and I hear police cars, sirens coming after this woman. She runs in to the lobby. They pull in back of her. 2 police cars, Upper Merion police cars, pull in back of her, and they run into the lobby, and she goes into the ladies' room. And one of the policemen starts to go in, and she says, don't you dare come in here. I'll be out in a minute. So finally, they're out there with her pad. She comes out. She says, I guess you boys never thought I'd make it. She says, I'm awfully sorry, but I had to go to the ladies' room, and the law does not stop me from speeding. See, we're all under pressure. We're all under pressure to perform. We're all under pressure to do. We're all racing through life at the speed of sound. And obviously, when nature calls, you have to move. Okay. All right, now what I'm going to do, I have the bag now. Now I'm going to come back, and here's the trick here. Because I have a heavier, I could have enclosed the entire chair, and I'll do that with this. I'm coming back with one whole solid piece of film. I'm going to take the chair. I'll put the chair up here. Now, did you want to come up now? And I'm putting the chair on the film. Pardon me? Huh?
I'm claustrophobic.
Oh, okay. Now, well, we cut a hole in the top so you can breathe. Huh? Yeah, it is clear, and you don't have to. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to catch a lot of air in here. So I've already have my product inside. All right. I'm going to bring this down. All right. And all I'm going to do now is, all I have to do is go around and seal the bottom. Now, I'm not going to shrink it. We don't need to shrink it. But you can see now what you can do with the sealer, the wand, as opposed to the cantilevered sealer is only good for making bags. It will not do anything like this. It won't partition a product. So now all I have to do now is shrink it. So you can see what you can do with the product. Here, we'll put this over here. All right, let me come back to, we talked about the Ivana gift chair, the Disney gift, your corporate gift with the with the dump truck. You can also do something with a bulldozer where you use a heavy piece of cardboard underneath it. You know, you could use the Father's Day or the Mother's Day gift that I made, the family tree. Your parents' next anniversary gift would also be in the same, you know, in the same vein there. Let me just see. We talked about pre-dating, silk flowers. We did shrink, flare top, sizing the bag. The little measuring tapes that we gave to everybody, if you did not get one and you come to the show tomorrow, we'll have some more. It has the formula on how to size a bag. If you have a sealer, you can make your own bag with the sealer and then put it on the basket and then go to the individual price list and see if that size is on the price list, and that's the simplest way to do that. We talked about rolling the bag forward, air conditioning, sharp points, we talked about that. Cardboard and tote bag. For those of you who sell tote bags, especially today, it's an easy $20 to $25 gift. If you take heavy cardboard and cut it to the size of the horizontal and the vertical side of the bag, and you put that in first, when you put your cello in next, the products will push against something solid. I'm sure you've done a bag where you just put product in and it sort of looked sort of saggy. Having that cardboard in there will keep those bags straight. We talked about gift wrapping products with the magazines and that sort of thing. Talked about fabric, the gift basket photography, how to do that. Peeling labels. For those of you, you know, you get some of these labels that go on like cement. Just take the heat gun and heat the label, and then either with a little knife or something you can peel the label off very quickly. For those of you who make bows, if you're in the process of making a bow and the phone rings, what do? You take your scissors, you take the loop, you stick it in here, put it down, make your phone call, and come back. The shrink tips with the nozzle heat, talking about that, basically you want to keep the nozzle heat away from your plush animal. The sticker doos with the shredded, anytime you want to cover a hole, you can do that. Overgauging. Overgauging means that you're wrapping a 5-pound gift with 100 gauge or 150 gauge. You really don't have to do that. You're wasting film because it's taking you longer to shrink the product. Now, the other thing is, when you're using the gun, you don't have to get in so close. What happens when people burn holes is they have a perfect product, it really looks good, and they see this tiny little wrinkle over here. You know, don't be tempted to go after it. Let it go. It's not going to cause you a problem. Back away from it. The gift is finished. When you go in and try and get it is when you make that hole, and now you want to rewrap it. Seam rupture and repair. When you go in too close to a seam, what happens is the heat is going to cause that seam to rupture because the film is pulling away from the seam. So imagine me getting you into a pair of slacks, then taking the heat gun and shrinking those down 2 sizes smaller. Yes, there she is. Come over here. We'll do it right now. And then asking you to sit down. Well, it's going to rip the seams right out. And this is what happens. So anytime you're shipping a product, always baste that seam with the Scotch tape. And that seam will never come apart on you. All right? I mean, if you've opened the seam up just a little bit, just take the Scotch tape and baste it there. Compression. We talked about compression of the product sitting down. I think we pretty well did that. If you ever want to know how much grass you need to order, you have to do 100 baskets. Make the basket first. Then take it apart, take the grass, measure it, put it on a scale some type. I have one last story, and it has to do with a man that we're all familiar with, and that is Sir Winston Churchill. After World War II, and Sir Winston Churchill was the single most important element. He was the cheerleader for England, for Europe. He was the single most important voice in keeping the English people driving ahead against the Nazis. Ironically, at the end of the war, his party was put out of power politically, and he was the premier, so he was put out. Well, over the years, his health sort of took toll, and he was always speaking at different universities at commencement, and he'd reached the point where he could barely hobble. They were pushing him around in a wheelchair. And Cambridge University had invited him to speak at their commencement, and they sort of felt that he only had a few years left. I think it was around 1955. So they built a special ramp for him so that he wouldn't have to climb steps. And they did all of these special precautions. And the dean of the school said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that we've invited former Prime Minister, to speak to us today. Mr. Prime Minister, would you please come up and address the commencement class? And so Winston just should have shuffled up to the podium, and he looked at everyone. He said, "Never give up!" And he went down. And that was his commencement speech, and that's the end of our program. Thank you. Thank you. We're gonna